Um, so Miss Walker, let me ask you, what's your socials? Where can we find you at?
Oh, you definitely can find me on Instagram at the Thunderwalker Experience, Pressure News Media, and I am Thunderwalker. Don't forget to just send me a message. And I think it's important to stop by LinkedIn also, Thunderwalker on LinkedIn, and the Clawback Conversation on YouTube. So check it out.
Today, we're joined by Thunder Walker, entrepreneur, publisher of Pressure News Media, cannabis valuation expert, owner of Proud Mary Cannabis, creator of Smoke Currency Tour, and recognized in High Times Power 100 as one of Black leaders who built cannabis. She's not just building businesses, she's building movements. Thunder, welcome to OH-HighYo podcast. We
Thunderwalker.
appreciate
What's up?
you.
What's going on, girl? What's going on?
Oh my goodness, it's the real high too. um, no, everything
Please.
is going great. I'm excited about the opportunities that's coming up for 2026. This year is going to be fantastic for, I believe, the plant and everyone that's working to make sure the stigma is removed and getting the people out of prison.
I agree. And I feel like 2026 is definitely going to be one for the books. So I'm glad that you said that. We have to start with our famous question that we ask everyone. Do you use cannabis? Why or why not?
I absolutely do use cannabis. It is part of a ritual for me. It has helped me in so many different ways, and I use it in different ways. I consume in different ways. Mm. And then
Okay, beautiful.
I'm a medical patient, but I'm also a caregiver. So my daughter uses cannabis. She's 12. She's autistic, nonverbal, and so we see it in all different aspects of our lives. Spiritual, medical, we practice so many different ways.
I'm so glad you said that. Cannabis is definitely very versatile in ways in which we can connect with it. And that's just something so beautiful that we get to share with nature.
It is
Um,
a vibe. It is much a vibe. I love smoking. It's a spiritual thing for me too. So like I feel it in that sense as well. So yeah.
It's definitely spiritual. It's definitely I think the plant calls those that understand it in a way, and if you're not called by it, if you're not, it just finds people, and then those people find other people, and then we become some type of amazing tribe, which I'm really excited about being a part of that tribe. Cannabis is not something that I take lightly. I think it's a currency. And not only is it a currency, I also think that without it, as far as when you just go back in history, things would have been very much different compared to what they are right now. And it's a cycle because, it was medical at one point where it was just freely, not necessarily given, but an understanding to it. And it was part of
Hmm.
medication back in the day.
right.
It was part of, in my opinion, way before biblical times. There's so many ways that this oil has been used, especially, and then I want to talk about the male part of the plant too, which is hemp. Um, that part, there's just so much you can do with it. You can build, you can just do a lot of amazing things. So I think it was placed on this earth for us to work with it in so many ways. It's almost like divine to me.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I think it really is beautiful just seeing the cannabis community just thrive and flourish, as we continue to destigmatize. So let's get into it. So before cannabis, you were deep in real estate and development. What pulled you into the industry?
Into the cannabis space or real
Into
estate?
the cannabis industry, yes.
Okay, so I
Like,
was
how
always
did
on
that
the legacy.
transition happen?
I was always on the legacy side. I really truly like bad boys. If you got a gun, if you have a little bit of a record, you getting my phone number. Okay. You getting my phone number at the club. And so I've always always been that person from even in high school and stuff like that. So I actually went to Carter High, and you guys may remember the show called Friday Night Lights.
Hmm.
And that was part of my history too. And a lot of those guys smoked and different things like that. And so I was just always in that room. And then from there, I started real estate because my dad was in real estate, and I was hired to open up cannabis spaces. And you cannot do cannabis without real estate, whether you're farming, whether you have a store, whether you're a cultivator, it doesn't matter. Everything is real estate. The shelf is real
Mhm.
estate. It's how it builds out, it's real estate. Everything is literally real estate. And so what ends up happening is if you don't understand it, you won't be successful at it. And that's why people are, losing licenses, or not making the money that they're supposed to make, not dealing with zoning in their communities because they don't understand that cannabis is real estate.
Hmm. Wow.
It's a
Okay.
crop. You know what I'm saying? It's a crop. And people think of
Yeah,
it.
for sure.
Yeah. So it has to grow. It has to have a space to grow. It takes up so much as far as the economy is concerned. And so once you see it through that lens, and since I grew up in that lens and I understood real estate, it was just a natural road. It was a highway for me to just skyrocket in it. I'm an appraiser, so I set value to things. Everything has value. Appraisers are the most powerful people in the room. We set value to water, to airspace. We set value to tennis shoes. We set value to trees, to real estate, as in buildings. And we set value to cannabis.
Okay.
It makes
That's such an
sense.
interesting perspective.
It
Yeah.
totally makes sense.
It makes sense
Yeah.
though, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
Even
from
if
real
it's in
estate,
a
okay,
state
so
that's
you
not
were already
legal.
set up. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were
Even if it's a
basically
state
set up
that's
to
not
do that.
legal. Well, yeah, in a way, because I just had, everything fit like a puzzle together. And so I was hired to open up, to actually do the build out of 6 different cannabis licenses in Oklahoma. And
Oh,
so I basically came down, found the spaces, did the build out, hired people for construction because I have a construction background too. And we went through the
Okay.
zoning and all of those requirements. And then basically what happened was I fell in love with the legal side of it. And I went ahead and decided that I would open up my own dispensary. So I ended up getting a dispensary processing license in partnership in a grow, um, with a lot of relationships, whether it's a loving inner relationship or whether it's a business relationship, some things end, and a lot of
Mhm.
things ended with that. And so the people that hired me, they got open, but they did not want to expand. There was just different things. They just did not have the right heart. And so they ended up closing, and I ended up keeping Proud Mary open. And so that's kind of how it ended up. And the Thunderwalker experience was really interesting because I ended up getting arrested for violence because I was going through a divorce, and the person, I had Airbnbs, and the person had another person in the Airbnb. And so they lied on me and said that I was trying to kill them, which I wasn't. Ha ha ha. And and so
Mhm.
ended up being arrested that night because of the way I looked, because of cannabis, all of those different things you can say, was an issue. And so I ended up being arrested that night. But in the meantime, I was put on a bond. I bonded out of jail. And so it was really crazy because when I bonded out of jail, less than 30 days later, and I was waiting for my trial and for everything to go away and get dismissed. Less than 30 days later, I was asked to speak at the Women in Cannabis Expo in New Jersey, right?
Wow.
And I was on bond, and I had to make that decision because at Proud Mary, had to make the decision, did I want to jump bail to actually go speak? And so I decided it was my destiny. I was about to lose everything. I was going through the divorce, I had a disabled child, all of those things was coming crashing down. And so I jumped bail and I left the state, and I went to New Jersey, and I spoke at Women in Cannabis Expo. I won that day Woman on the Rise, and life became what it is now, which is me being pretty much a cannabis icon and for this plant. And that's kind of how she does you. She kind of takes you on a roller coaster and you end up right in the dirt. So
Mhm.
that's it.
That's
It's like some
amazing.
ultra rock star stuff though. It's just like, hey, no, you know what? Whatever. We're gonna do it. Come on, Mother Nature, let's roll. Me and you got it together. That's dope. I actually think it's pretty dope.
I love that. I love to hear how cannabis influences people's lives for the better. So was you've spoken about your daughter and how that shaped your cannabis journey. What did that season teach you about the plant and about purpose?
You know, it is so hard to truly go through the transition of having a child that's disabled because you get ready for everything in life. You get ready to go to high school, you get ready to go to college, you get ready to get married, you get ready to have a child, you buy the perfect bassinet, you buy the stroller, everything, and you're just getting ready. And so what ended up happening was she was diagnosed at like 1.5, 2 years old with severe autism. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And so
Mhm.
for me, I had to do something different. I really, really did. And I couldn't figure it out. I was like, okay, what do I need to do? And understood the plant. We started out with CBD. I understood the CBD. I understood the plant from the legacy market, but I didn't
Mhm.
understand how to give it to and be a caregiver of a child that needed it, right? And so she started out on the medical program in Texas, which allowed you to have gummies, but we weren't seeing enough success with that. So we ended up having to go into the oils. So there's RSO, there's all types of different oils, right? And so I needed to figure out how to administer it to her. And I ended up going directly to Michigan. And I was
Mhm.
able to talk to some people in the legacy market, and they were able to show me how to do that. And so it was basically applying it to her navel. And so she didn't get the high, but she got the results. And so here's a
Wow.
kid that went from nonverbal, not even knowing how to, she has apraxia, and apraxia is like a stroke of your brain. So she didn't know how to extend her fingers out. She didn't know how to use the iPad. She wasn't going to be able to sign because she had that. And now she learned how to do this extension. And then we went from that extension to being able to push me out the way, like, Mama, I got to plug in my iPad. My battery is about to go down. Cannabis did that for her. And
Wow.
so I tell people all the time, it's like getting hit in the throat. But then once you recover out of that boxing ring, you get a chance to understand that, hey, this can be worked with.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah, it does work miracles.
Wow.
I mean, from like a medical standpoint, for me, I have Crohn's, so like I said,
Mhm.
that's like it really helps. Like for me,
Mhm.
it makes me feel a lot better.
Right, exactly, exactly. And then you being as young as you are to have that diagnosis, and you're like, okay, how do I handle this? Right? It's,
Mhm.
a lot of times when you go to medical professionals, they're going to give you something that has like this much of all these side effects. And then the
Yes.
plant doesn't give you that.
Yeah.
You know,
Y-
the side effects
Yeah.
is you might gain some weight because you might get a little bit hungry. You might, if you take an indica, you might not be able to get your day done on a Saturday, right? It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. I
it's
hear you.
totally different, right? So
Yeah.
That's so
Y-
true.
Yeah. That's the biggest symptom. I mean, I got to find something to eat. That's about it. That's it.
yeah, exactly, exactly. I love that though. I love that we're finding answers. I think that's the biggest thing is taking control back of your body and being able to
Mhm.
find those answers for yourself. Because, in all honesty, when you're setting, I remember sitting in the doctor's office and I told him that I was going to try cannabis and how well it was working. He closed my daughter's file and said, well, you're going to have to find someplace else to take her. And this is a doctor that had, he was there
Wow.
at the delivery. And it's a
Wow.
lot of women out there that's having those issues. They are pregnant, they are mothers, and they're trying to figure it out whether their child is has autism or doesn't have autism, there's still so many different things as a mother that you go through, and whether it's stress, whatever, PTSD, and this plant needs to be understood about how it can help in all of those lanes.
So, Miss Walker, let me ask you this question. Um, from what moment did you know it wasn't a venture and it was actually a movement? Yeah, because we know we've talked about the spiritual side and your connection, but when did you actually see it as more like a movement forward in a career space or so?
So, a movement in the career space. This plan has done so much for me in my personal life and in my career until the movement started when I started seeing this is gonna sound real crazy, but listen, this is the true
Sure.
story. It really happened to me when I walked in a grow. And I know that sounds strange, but if you ever see this plant grow and it's growing and it's swaying because the fans, the humming of the fans in the grow room, and it's just swaying back and forth. And you see it, and you see it's a commodity. You see people are making money for it. You see the fact, you just take off your blinders and you literally see the fact that people are on the cover of Forbes magazine. But then you also see that people are still in prison. So remember when I told you I jumped bail and I went to New Jersey to speak? There was a young man there that was the bellhop, and he was helping me get out my bags. And he said, well, what are you here for today? There's so many people checking in. And I said, oh, there's a cannabis convention. And it really hit me right then and there. He had just went to court and he had just took a plea for possession. But we were having a cannabis convention where he worked. It makes
Mhm.
no sense, right? And then I really understood that it's a movement because of the unjust, and it's a movement because of the just. The just is how many people it's helped as far as, mental health, veterans, children, parents, all of those things, senior citizens, canna boomers. I call them canna boomers.
Kind
But
of
the
boomers.
unjust, yeah, the unjust is still out there. And so you can't do anything but be enraged if you see how simple this plant is that's just growing and being beautiful and comes in so many fragrances and all of that, and
Yes.
then still see people sentenced to life. And so the social justice part for me was huge. And it's social justice not for the people that's just in a physical prison, but also for those people that are ill and need help and they're in a prison within their bodies. And for
Mm.
me, that's when it became the movement. It just all kind of clicked in place. All the puzzle pieces just hit at once. And I said, I have to speak on this. I have to advocate for it. I have to spend time, money, all of that, because everyone cannot handle what it takes to push this thing where it needs to go. It's 80 years, fucking 80 years,
Long
Wow.
time. It's a
long
long time.
time,
It's a
long
long time.
time. Yeah,
I
Well,
feel
it's
that
crazy.
though. Definitely. I feel like cannabis is very like inspiring, It
Hmm.
sets a fire in everyone, like that kind of
it's
connects with it
time.
in their own unique way.
Yeah, it's
You
time.
know. Yeah,
It's
that's
it's
beautiful.
time. It's
Yeah.
time. And how do we pay these people back that have kept the strains? Because without the legacy market, you wouldn't have the strains and the variety that we have. How do we pay them
Right.
back? And then how do we move forward? Um, because we're fighting within each other, and that's a problem too. And we got to figure that part out. Because, a house divided will, of course, fall. So for
I mean,
those, yeah. So for those that are truly not understanding how important it is for us to get on the right side of this, they're going to miss it. And I want to be alive to see it. I don't need another 80
me
years.
too.
Yeah.
Me too. So what do you think is like our first steps to working towards that? Like,
It's really simple. Understand that it's a plant and that the THC side, which is the female side, is the same as the hemp side. We need to stop fighting each other. If we can get that together, the household together first, that would be great. And then we can lobby and legislate for everything else that we want. We're really not that much different. You know what I mean? Alcohol was able to do it. Crypto did it in a short amount of time. You know, this has been around a long time, and we have the data, but we have to stop fighting within each other. I see academia really trying to come in and say, okay, you know, this is what it is, and this is this, and blah blah blah. So they're trying to push out the street legacy side. You can't do it. The whole vocabulary is built on that side. And in
right,
Pressure News, we covered that. The first issue, we gave literally 100 words that came directly from the vocabulary of the black market. You know, they didn't know what zips were,
wow,
all
that's
of
so
that type of
cool.
stuff. Yeah.
I
And
haven't heard
so,
that in forever. I knew what that was.
I
yeah,
gotta check that
that
out.
right. That's the street that dictates what it is. And so if you check out Pressure, we have an article. That was the first session that we did, the first release. This
Mhm.
month, we're releasing a story called Ghost. And the ghost basically is the infrastructure. I keep telling people, and they don't like what I say, but I'm going to say it here too. It's simply this: you can regulate cannabis. You can say, okay, it's got to be in these child-proof packages. It's got to be done like this. You got to pay this amount of taxes. And we can all jump through those hoops. And I don't have a problem with jump through those hoops and making sure that my dispensary is running the legal way. But that's not what's going to dictate the market. The market is the customer. And the customer is going to decide if he or she is going to buy weed in a legal dispensary or if they're going to buy it on the corner from the plug. The plug
Mhm.
is not concerned because they've already risked their life and their freedom already. So the plug is not concerned about packaging. The plug, they do the little zip bags. The plug is not concerned about all these other things. And so the person that decides if they're going to walk into the dispensary, if they're going to renew their medical card, or if they're going to pay for what they're going to pay for, that is the person that holds the key. They're the most powerful person in the room. And it doesn't matter what state it's in, because
Yeah.
whether you're in a state like Georgia or Texas or Kentucky or Wyoming, there's cannabis there. Whether they have already passed medical or passed rec, there's still cannabis there. So to make this thing work, we all have to decide, hey, what's important to the person that's going to spend their money, and how do we meet their need? And that's how you get it. And the reason why I know that that's the case, you guys are kind of younger than me, but back in the day when you turned on your television or you decided to watch any show, you never saw a commercial from uh, a medical authority. You never saw a commercial
Mm.
from a pharmaceutical company. That's in the last 10, 15 years that you now see that. Because
Yeah,
why?
that's true.
They're reaching for the patient. They're going over the doctor's head and they're reaching for the patient. Cannabis already figured that out. So that's why I know who's going to make this market work and get us all together. It is the consumer. That's who's going to do it.
Street
I
rules.
definitely think the community plays a big role, in making a change, obviously. And I feel like I'm glad that you brought up pressure news. I was going to say, I feel like media, especially independent media, we play like a very important role
We
between the
very much do.
community, and the government and so on and so forth. And just like bringing those stories to life and helping like build a stronger like connection between the hemp community and the cannabis community and all of that. So I feel like it's it's a privilege for us to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It doesn't make sense. I don't even get why we fight. I have people in my state, they're like, we need to shut down uh the the gas stations and stuff like that because they sell THCA or they sell something else. And I'm like, why? Just sell it yourself or regulate it. You know, when you decide that you want to draw a line at one level, what happens is that line keeps moving and it keeps moving. And that's what's happening right now. Cannabis, you know, is at 5% THC level in certain states. And 5% is not going to help a cancer patient.
Right.
5% THC levels is not going to help my daughter who has autism. It's just not. I mean, I can add gummies, but that sugar is going to, you know, it's
Right.
crazy. We got to be realistic.
That plays.
Mhm.
That's definitely a good point. We're gonna switch gears.
There it is. There it is. There's the bowl.
Welcome to the Hemper's House. Thank you so much, Thunder, for being here today and sharing your story and your personal connection with cannabis. The Hempress House is a moment we like to take in
Mhm.
OH-HighYo podcast to sit back and kind of slow down, change pace, take a deep breath, and reflect on, the beauty and just like your unique connection with cannabis. We want to dig deeper on that. So, thank you again for being here. I just have a couple quick questions. So,
Mhm.
you did already mention that you feel like you are spiritually connected to cannabis very deeply. We would love to hear more about, your personal connection with cannabis, your story, how it helps you personally.
Oh, I would love to share that. So for me, it helps me meditate. I actually use it on my altars. I have a family altar and I have a business altar and I use it on my altars. So a living altar
Hmm.
and then a spiritual altar. It is a sacrament to me. And so for me, I truly believe that you get to a state, and it's so funny. I don't want to be too controversial, but you get to a state in your life where you have to reach who you are and figure out who you are and what's the best you that you're going to put out there. And then you have to accept everything that you've dealt with over the years, you know, things that you don't like about yourself. But if you can come to that realization of truly what you do like about yourself, and cannabis can help you do that, you can get a state of peace. And so it worked for me that way because I knew that I had these, I'm not going to say problems, but I'm going to say uh, opportunities to make life better. You know, it's not easy being the mom of a disabled child. So I had to literally figure out how do I work that to my advantage? How do I try to shape that into something I could live with for the rest of my life, right? And as much as I love my daughter, I had to shape autism. I had to figure that out. I had to
Mhm.
shape different things that happens in your life that you just kind of have to shape, whether it's a divorce, whether it's losing a parent, whether it's your children that you love and they graduate and they go off and they marry somebody and you don't get a chance to see them but on special holidays. You have to shape that as you grow, and cannabis helps me do that spiritually. You
Mm.
probably will not see me smoking on camera or when I'm out at a event because I'm giving to the public then. Okay. But in my own private space, I actually use it on my altars. And I, so I'll share this with you. When I set the lights, and everybody doesn't know what setting the lights are, but setting the lights is when I light a candle for a loved one,
Mhm.
actually blow cannabis into the candle to spark the energy around me.
Wow, that's
Tapped
beautiful.
in, man.
Thanks.
Tapped in.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Mhm.
much for sharing that with us. That's just so
Good
deep
stuff.
and just so uniquely you. Like we
It
really
is. It's
appreciate you
different.
just sharing that piece with us. Um, I'll ask one more question. And I do appreciate the things that you said because I do also use cannabis and meditation and with breath work. And it has helped me in times where I had to kind of remold myself, in a situation that was lower vibrational. So I just think that's really beautiful when we can connect with other people that have also experienced that same situation, but in their own way. So one more question for Hemper's House. What does healing look like? Or I'm sorry, what has the plant taught you about your ego?
Wow. That's an
That's a good question.
interesting conversation.
It's a good question.
You got to be loud. You got to be bold. You're not going to free this plant being quiet and
Mm,
soft. And even though there's a soft side to everyone, male, female, it does not matter. This plant requires you to put on your armor. And it has taught me a lot about being able to speak up and use the right words to create the conversation. And that's
mm,
why when an opportunity came to do a tabloid, I wanted to speak and know that I wanted to direct some thoughts. Because to me, when you look at this plant and you talk to people in this circle, and that's what happens in the cannabis circle, we're all talking to each other. It's important to talk outside of the circle. Outside of the
mm.
circle are the people that are going to actually vote. Because we know what our votes are going to be. We're going to be, oh, yeah, we want medical. Oh, yeah, we want adult use. Oh, yeah, we want
No.
this percent. So we're just
Yes.
talking to
Yes.
each other.
Yes.
It's important. And my conversation for me is about talking to the lady on the third row of the pew in the Holiness Church or the Pentecostal church. I want to talk to her to get her to understand she may never use cannabis whatsoever, right? But give people the freedom to make that choice. So when she does go and vote, she understands that it helps people like you, it helps people like me, it helps people like my daughter. It's an economy that helps with school districts and building roads. Hemp actually helps with building better properties and better real estate. So for me, that's the voice that I want to project out there. And that's where it helps me with who I am as a person. I don't think she makes any mistakes. I don't think the plant makes a mistake. I think the people that are attracted to her have a responsibility to make
Mm.
sure that everyone else understands why she's here, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes, that definitely makes sense. And I agree. I tell people, the plant can't speak for itself. That's why we have to. So I
That's right.
agree
That's
for sure.
Yeah.
absolutely right.
So,
We have a
Proud Mary feels like an experience. What energy did you want people to feel walking in? Can you talk more about what Proud Mary is and what that was like? And
A Proud Mary is my dispensary, and we couldn't come up with the name. But 6 years before I opened Proud Mary, I literally was in Washington, D.C., and a homeless woman called me Mary. She said, "You're Mary." And I didn't think anything about it. I never thought that that would be the name. I literally love Tina Turner. She was very impressive in my life. I think she's beautiful, her voice, all of those things. Um, but what's interesting about the name Proud Mary and why I chose it is because I wanted everyone to know that every female is Mary. We're all the beginning. And
mm,
this plant is so important to understand that you can be proud of who you are as a person. And everyone, especially in this day and time, is an actual brand. I speak on this often when I talk to women. Women really don't understand that they are a brand. There's a lot of us that don't
mm,
understand that. So, no matter what you wear, how you speak, what rooms you enter, you carry yourself as a brand. You're no longer a resume. You are a complete brand. You're whole, and you balance all that together, whether it's family, friends, career, and health. And that becomes your brand. And that's why Proud Mary is so important to me and why I named my dispensary Proud Mary, because I wanted people to understand that we're a community. When you come in here, it's not a 7-Eleven experience. It's literally coming in. We know your name. We know something that happened in your life. You can share different things and you can have a minute to just relax. Pick out what you want. We talk about how it's going to help or benefit, and you leave, and then we make notes and remember why you came in the last time. Was it because your daughter was having a wedding, whether it's because you're having a root canal, or whether it's because, you know what, the kids are on a sleepover and I'm going to be at home by myself, me and my significant other, and we are going to just relax. And so we want to have that experience to help you have the best experience you can.
I love that because
Yeah.
one, because I love the Proud
Good.
Mary. Like, I just think that's a really like cool, empowering, unique name for cannabis, for a dispensary. But also, um, oh my goodness, I don't want to forget what I was going to say. That was the most important part I wanted to say. I'm sorry.
It's
No, you're
okay.
good.
I mean, it is. It's very mind blowing that, like, you know, you're building community with your brand, and like that, your brand really represents who you are, and it's really tied to the
Mhm.
community that you representing with as a brand too. You know what I'm saying? So it's just all there at once in the front, like a movement. As we asked, you know, you said a venture to a movement. This feels like a movement in its sense.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I was just gonna say, like, someone with a customer service background and then, now working in cannabis, I like when I go to the dispensary, even as an industry worker, I still wanna have like a good experience when I'm a customer coming in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I really don't appreciate like the automation that's kind of happening in dispensaries now, where it's like almost like you're
Yeah.
walking into McDonald's to like a screen and you're not really talking to anyone besides exchanging cash, if that's like how it goes. And like I miss the consultation or just like having a convo about like what's new and what's exciting and what they want to share. Like give me a piece of something to take away from besides, what I'm buying. Like
That's the beautiful part. Like, that's the beautiful part, to be able to meet another person who also partakes with you and you guys can share, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, the community aspect. Like, and
It's
that's
the
what we always
culture.
preach. Yeah, it's the whole
I
culture.
love
You know what I'm
that.
saying? Yeah,
It's the whole culture.
Definitely.
we love each
And
other enough to be able to bring each other back in and teach each other what it's about. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
exactly, exactly. And like I was saying about drawing the line, I mean, Oklahoma just went prepackaged, and we used to have deli style here, and to even come in, it was like a date for a lot of people. They would come in, or
Mhm.
their girlfriends or guys would come in. They would come and smell each, you know, strain,
Yes.
and truly figure out what they wanted. And it'll also allow the body to tell them what they needed, right? And
Yes.
so it's really crazy to think that we have a plant and we decide to package it so you can't smell it. It has to be smell proof. It has to be all these different things. And we end up missing out on one of the key parts of it. So as we evolve, and I agree with you, the automation, I'm not a big fan of it. But as we evolve, we actually have to remember the farmer's market. And if we can remember the farmer's market and still have a place for that type of business, I think it would really, really help. But
Yes.
that's why it's everybody needs a voice in this, because
Well, this
when
is
they
good.
go and
I think,
right.
let me ask you this. So this leads into my question. So this is good because we're talking about this. So Oklahoma is one of the most saturated markets in the country. What separates survivors from casualties there is my question. So what separates those who kind of rise above from those who are kind of struggling?
It's like anything else in the jungle. Only the strong will survive. This is
Hmm.
not supposed to be this. Everybody gets a trophy. Okay, it's not supposed to be that. That's not what the economy is built on.
Right.
And that's with everything. When they talk about, they only say that about the businesses of cannabis, that it's oversaturated. They don't say that about restaurants. They don't say that about grocery stores. They don't say that about pharmacies. They don't say that about bars. And they sure as hell
Mhm.
don't say that about churches, because I'm from the
Okay.
Bible Belt. They're
Okay. Now.
everywhere.
All
All
right. All
right.
right.
And so hate when that's the thing. And so we have to not buy into that. Only the strong will survive. I literally was next door to a dispensary, at MSO. He had 7 in the state.
Wow.
And we
Mm,
were called crazy. I was called like, you're not going to survive, whatever. Going into the 4th year, he literally got closed down from his other 4 or 5 other different dispensaries he has. I think in the end he has 7. But the one next to me did not have any issues, like when you go through the state exams, audits, and stuff like that. But he told me himself, he said, "Hey, you cut into my business, okay? I'm not going to race all the way down to the bottom. The race to the bottom, I'm not going to do that. The pre-rolls for $1, who wants to smoke that? I'm just not going to
Right.
do it." And so competition, which is, you see it in football, you see it in music, you see it everywhere. It needs to be in cannabis. If you don't have a good product, it shouldn't be on the shelf. If you are a store that's not selling good products, you shouldn't make it. And the consumer, once again, is the person that decides that. So yeah, they like cheap pre-rolls that are $1. They closed, and literally once they closed with the dispensary next to me, um, we opened at 10. By 12 o'clock, I had no more weed. It was just gone. They,
dang,
they
Wow.
purchased everything. The consumer
dang.
purchased everything. That's a very good question. Competition, which is what we use in every other aspect of business, will sort out the people that should stay in the industry and the people that should not stay in the industry. It's very, very important to understand that. We don't even say that about car makers. You want to create a whole new brand new car like Elon did with the Tesla. They didn't say, "Oh, it's too many cars out there." You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
This is the only industry. We cannot buy into that. Competition will sort it out. Promise you it will. And so the dispensary next to me was a 7-Eleven style competition. You know what I mean? You go in, you get your weed, you go out. I actually
Mm.
had more of a cheers style with the love seat in here. We have board games on the wall where you have checkers, and you have um, different games that you can play. You can check out our glass. We have a podcast room. We have free mini pieces of chocolate, because people don't realize if you do get a bad pre roll and you eat some chocolate, it's going to make it a little better. Uh, the chocolate will make it just a little bit better. It'll make the weed a little
Mhm.
stronger. But anyway, that's the deal. People have to really understand that the American market was built on competition. And if you can understand competition, then there is no market that's saturated. What will happen is the customers will make the decision who can come and who can stay. So in Oklahoma, the state started shutting down dispensaries. They stopped giving out licenses and all that. They said they had too much stuff. Now, guess what? Everybody in the industry was like, "Yeah, we got too much competition, blah, blah, blah." Then all of a sudden, Governor Stitt says, "Hey, we need to send this whole program back to the people." And then everybody's like, "Wait, wait, whoa, whoa, we didn't want to do that." That's what happens. See, it's a slippery slope. When you want to take out people just to lower the numbers, you end up going on this slope where someone that doesn't even like cannabis will be like, "Well, get rid of the whole program." And that's the issue. You have to be willing to do competition. And it's just like when you go into a shoe store, there's tons of shoes, there's tons of tennis shoes. No one's saying you can't have your next tennis shoe. And that's why Kanye was able to make a new tennis shoe. You know what I'm saying? So give the opportunity, and then the consumer will say yay or nay to that particular
Mhm.
product or that dispensary or that brand. That's what will happen. But if we don't do that, then you will only have the big brands. So the example will be Amazon. And I love Amazon, but I never thought when I was a little girl that I would be waiting on a package to come through the mail and not go to the mall. So Amazon shut down basically Kmart, shut down.
Mhm.
They got to run with Target a little bit,
Wow.
but they shut down Walmart. Well, no, Walmart, Woolco. I think that was the name of it. A lot of the little small stores got closed down. Now, the example that you want to look at with that is then came Temu came in and some of the other little cheaper places, but
Mhm.
Amazon is still going strong. And we have to understand history. You got to study history. And cannabis needs to understand that we need competition, and whoever doesn't make it doesn't get a chance to go to the damn Super Bowl. It's just that simple. It's that simple.
All
I mean,
right.
I feel like that's just how it works in just like capitalism in general is like built on competition for sure.
It is
Right.
So
true. It is
why would it
true.
be any different for cannabis?
Why wouldn't it be any different? But if we allow it to be different, then what happens is only certain people get a chance to play on the field. It'll be
Yeah,
So let
that's
who
me
you
ask
kind
you
of
this
know.
then. What
Mhm.
what is the one mistake new operators are making then? What is that one mistake that they need to make sure that if they're going to make sure they're going to make it, what's the one thing they need to avoid?
What they need to avoid,
Mm-hmm.
not knowing what's on their shelf, and they need to be educated. This is the only industry that people are not educating themselves on the day-to-day topics. So you need to know what's on the shelf. You need to understand what's on the shelf. Don't sell anything that you don't like. Period. Don't sell it.
Okay.
If it
Okay.
doesn't work, it doesn't work. I
All
love,
right.
love, love um, infused suckers, but they don't sell in my store. I don't buy them, but I
oh
think
my
they're cool.
goodness. I just
Yeah,
made some. Oh
We
my
just
I think
god.
made
they're cool.
some. We really did.
Yeah,
We just made some. That's crazy.
Classic cows, Dolly Pops. They're so good. Oh my god. 25 milligrams RSO infused.
yeah, exactly. But here you can consume in so many different ways, and that's one of the reasons why I love the market of Oklahoma. We have root beer, we have cotton candy, we have
Mm.
popcorn, we have
Cotton candy. Oh my god.
flour. Yes, we have ice cream.
I feel
You
like
know,
we don't see enough like savory snack
Yes.
infused
Because if I had some ice
products.
cream, whew, boy.
we do here in Oklahoma. We have crackers, we have soup. We have a lot
What?
of different
What?
things. We have, yeah, we have a lot of
Oh
different things.
my
They even have
goodness.
freeze dried pears and stuff like that. So
My
we
brother
have
has
some,
had a strawberry shortcake. So he's in Jersey and he's had a
yeah,
strawberry shortcake. And he's told me about that. I ain't never had that. That sounds
yeah,
fantastic.
That
exactly.
sounds delicious.
And
That
that's the
sounds
thing. We should be able to consume in different ways because what's different for me is like I can have a gummy that's off the shelf, but then if I make a gummy, it's better for
Mm.
me, I think. Or if I take
Mhm.
chocolate and I actually make my
Oh,
own infused chocolate, it's so much better.
huh.
Oh,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this up. We're gonna switch some gears real quick. All right, since we got high energy right now. So all right, Thunder, you've officially made it to Will's Corner, the rapid fire segment. All right.
Okay.
No more overthinking, no long speeches. We just on vibes. I just want you to fire off and answer as soon as I ask the question. All right. Whatever comes to your
Let's do
mind,
it.
just answer it right there. Okay.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Favorite strain right now.
Favorite strain, right? Pink Runs.
All right. Indica, sativa, or it depends on the mission.
Sativa.
Sativa. Okay. All right. Best cannabis city in the U.S.
Ooh. Oklahoma City, baby.
He's like hometown, hometown.
You
All
gotta
right,
come out there.
we do. I
I want you
haven't
to
been
come
out
out
there.
there. It's an invite. Let's do it.
All right.
Oh,
So most underrated cannabis on the market.
Most underrated cannabis on the market. Mm.
Oh,
Bodega
sorry,
Boys.
Bodega Boys. I asked it wrong, but that's good. Most underrated cannabis market. The actual market. What is the most underrated market?
mm,
Oklahoma. For real.
mm,
Oh,
They
all
just think
right,
we
all
the
right.
wild, wild west down here. And we are. But we don't get the respect that we should. I'm just being real.
Okay,
I
okay.
feel
All
that.
right. Couple more.
Yeah.
So, real estate or cannabis? Which one is more ruthless?
Cannabis.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay.
favorite City Girls pre-roll flavor?
Oh, I love that. Chocolate.
Okay, all right. If cannabis was a superhero, what superpower would it have?
It already has all the superpowers.
I was gonna say that's a dumb question. Uh,
This is gonna
uh,
be interesting. I guess being invisible.
invisible. Oh, okay,
Mm,
all right. Can coffee or cannabis first thing in the morning?
cannabis.
Okay, and then I'll cut it short. Last one. All right. If you had a theme song, what would it be?
It's my prerogative by Bobby Brown.
There it is. Oh, Bobby.
I gotta pull it out every now and then.
Oh,
Y'all know
Bobby.
Bobby?
Just, ugh.
Bobby, baby. Bobby and Whitney. Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta pull that out every now. It is. It's my prerogative. I can do what I want to do. I made this
Hey,
money.
bro.
You didn't.
I feel that. He said it with his whole chest.
Okay.
His whole chest. He meant it. His whole
He was
chest.
radical. People called him radical back in the day. I think he was right on time.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so tell us, what is the Smoke Currency Tour and what problem does it solve?
Ooh.
The Smoke Currency Tour was a tour across the country going to different markets to take a green thread and just basically tie them all together. And it was an educational tour in a Montessori style because none of the markets were talking to each other. This is brand new. We didn't talk to each other back in the day. Everybody was doing their own little thing. And that has to stop because in certain states, you guys are doing it great. I need to know what y'all are doing so I can do mine better. And in certain states, like here, we're doing some stuff that's great and people need to know about that.
Hmm.
Okay, I love that. So, smoke into strategy. Give us an example of what that looks like in real life.
You called it smoke what?
Into
Smoke into
strategy.
strategy.
Smoke into strategy. Okay. An example of that is the clawback conversations. I literally fly people down for a 2.5 day weekend and talk about the different markets. So we exchange. So I bring a dispensary owner here or a grower here, and instead of me going all across the country, then what we do is we decide, do we want to do business in each state? So, do I want to take my brand to New Jersey? And do they want to bring a brand to Oklahoma? And that's how we get the conversation started. So, the clawback
Mhm.
conversation is my show, and that's what we talk about. How do they claw their way back? But then, what is the opportunity to actually expand our state lines?
Wow, that's really cool. I feel like I don't hear enough about people just like trying to reach out and connect, people
You know, that
taking
reminds
that
me.
initiative?
That reminds me of Mr. Don. You know how Mr. Don will bring you to the cannabis museum, have you stay, you hang out,
Mhm.
you just hang out with him for a night. You go to the museum, you go out to the farmers market, like you just spend literally the whole weekend with Mr. Don, and he
I
teaches you
didn't
about
get that.
everything.
I need
That
that.
that that's what the offer does. He was like, hey, come up here, hang out. Y'all get to smoke. Y'all can check out the
Yes,
museum. Y'all can shoot.
they
I
are
mean, of course
sweet though.
they're
We hung
great
out though.
people.
I've hung out with them, but yeah.
I love
Mm-mm.
Athens. Athens
I didn't get
is
my whole
popping.
weekend though.
I love
Y'all got a whole
Athens.
week and I didn't get all that.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
that's so important because if we don't talk, I mean, this is the only industry where people don't talk across state lines. I mean, literally, we're just all in our little silos and we don't do that. It doesn't make any freaking sense whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
It's
crazy.
yeah, and I'm coming from
Mm.
Kentucky, so like me and we're coming from a whole nother state where we're just getting started. But that knowledge to be kind of way far ahead before, and knowing what's going to happen before it gets to us, we're more prepped here to be ready to launch and do our things that we need to do here, as well as in the state that we're already operating in. So we're really grateful for that type of knowledge.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And Kentucky is the bourbon capital, right?
That's
This is where
right.
bourbon is. So I'm gonna be coming to Kentucky soon because that's a big thing that we like too. We like bourbon. But
Okay. All right.
yeah,
All
you
right.
got to be able to talk across state lines and what makes sense because Canagars may be great in Kentucky with your bourbon, your
Mm.
Canagar, blah blah blah, or your blunt. Um, but not so much in another state. So,
Yes.
you get a chance to
See,
learn those things.
I
Good
need that
point.
knowledge. I need that
That's a
because
good point.
if there's blunts and bourbon somewhere, I'm there. I'm
That's
there,
a fun little event
bro,
name. Hello.
bro. Right. All right. So let me
Please.
ask you this: pressure, pressure media is bold and unfiltered. All right. Well, what's missing in the cannabis media right now, and what are you trying to correct that we're missing? You know what I'm saying? What would be the necessary fix that we need?
So I love this question. Okay, cannabis is so beautiful. Um, you have pot, you have politics, but then you also have pussy. Okay. And that's what's missing. And that's why I did it, to be honest with you, because life is an intersection. And
Mhm.
if you don't understand the female plant and you don't understand all the things that are happening right now, think about politics right now. You have Amber Rose, you have uh, Megan the Stallion. Years ago, 10 years ago, would you have thought that they would have been at the conventions? No,
No.
right? And I'm talking about
Mm,
Democrat and Republican. You have Nicki Minaj right now. You have uh, when Biden ran, he sat down with Cardi B and talked to her.
mhm,
These are
mhm.
people that back in the day would not even have a room, but yes, they would. It just would look different because you had your Marilyn Monroe, you had your Josephine Baker. Pussy
Mm.
has always been there. And then even when they got upset because our current president said he would grab them by, then you had women and men wearing hats. Do you remember that? Shaped like that? Do y'all remember that?
Mhm.
So
I
it's
remember.
No.
always been a part of the conversation. You don't
I
remember the hat?
remember.
Okay, it
I
was. Just
remember.
research it. It's always been a part of the conversation. And I think it's important to understand that adults can have that conversation. And pressure allows us to talk about everything. It allows us to talk about the fact that you can do a yoni sting and add cannabis in it and can help with people's uterus. It adds, and it helps when you're going through uh, labor. It can take some issues off of labor. It can take some issues off of postpartum depression. And we're not having those conversations. We're not having the conversations. This is an adult use plant, pretty much. And so, if you're going to have those conversations, you need to talk about everything that people do as an adult and not just shy away from the sexuality. And so, I think it's important to be able to have that conversation. I have the 4Ds. I was a developer, I was a dancer, I was a deaconette. So I used to hand out the Lord's Supper back in the day. And now I'm a drug dealer, a legal drug dealer.
It's a
Love
heck of
that.
a path.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about it all, baby. Right in pressure. There's a
Mhm.
section called bullshit and popcorn, and I want y'all to check it out because it's things that you would never predict. It's not gonna be on your bingo card, right? But it
Yeah.
is things that are coming true right now. I was just next month, we're doing a whole women's issue because March is Women's Month. And we're gonna talk
Mhm.
about all of those different things. But we're also gonna talk about how AI is coming for all these different positions, and right now, they actually have robotic strippers coming out.
Oh
So,
Yes,
Lord.
they do.
yeah,
Oh
they do.
no.
Yeah.
Wait.
So,
They got
when you
artificial
start,
booty
It's all
out here.
types of stuff.
Oh
Yeah.
God,
yes,
no.
yes, yes,
There's a
yes.
lot out there.
So that's how pressure came about. I mean, I want people to understand we talk
Okay.
about politics, we talk about all those different things, but we also talk about lifestyle, and lifestyle includes sexuality. And there's nothing wrong with
Definitely.
talking about that.
Feel that. I feel
I
that.
love
Life
that.
is fluid,
Yeah,
man. It
keep it
is
real.
fluid. Okay.
Keep it
Fluid.
real. Keep it raw. Okay, so if you could shift one narrative in the cannabis industry overnight, what would it be?
That it's saturated.
Okay.
That's the narrative I would shift. I would try to change. Um, The other thing that I would try to change, it would be the very close second, is that we have to be so divided. Is to me, this plant is
Mm.
the one thing that brings us all together. Every sex, every race, every blah blah blah. I mean, you can just stand outside and you can be smoking, and everybody will walk up to you and hit it. You know what I mean? That
Mhm.
wants to hit it. And it's not divided, but we divided ourselves.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
I don't like that. It doesn't have to be that way.
Unity. I like it.
I agree.
Hmm.
I agree. Cannabis definitely brings people together, all walks of life. And it also just opens doors. Like
Hmm.
it's a magical plant. Are we truly progressing with equity and expungement in your opinion, or are we rebranding the same power structures?
You know, Normally I don't speak on equity. And you mean by social equity, right?
Yes.
Okay. I normally don't speak on that because I disagree with it. Um, I like
Okay.
social justice, but I believe in clear competition. And if they take this plant and they take the field and make it all even, not for a specific group of people. Yes, for those that have been victims of the war on drugs, I totally agree with that. But if they just make it even, let's see who can succeed. That's one thing I like about Oklahoma. Our license to get in was $2,500. They didn't have anything to do
Oh.
with social equity. And I remember being in New Jersey, which is where your brother is, and I was at this party. It was a legacy to legal party. So we had legacy people, and they were asking me, "How long did it take you to get your license?" And I said, "Oh, about 3 weeks."
Whoa.
That party was 4 years ago. There are still people in the social equity line that still have not opened, but they have been paying rent for 4 years.
Yeah,
And you're
waiting for
now
it to come
starting to
Wow.
see
open.
articles. Yeah, you're now starting to see articles now about how those people feel that they were let down and not given a fair opportunities. Because who can pay for 4 years without being able to make that money is very few and far between. And so what happens is they have to go get an investor, and then you miss the
Mhm.
whole thing about social equity because when you go get the investor, that person didn't qualify for the program. So I'm not a big fan of that. I love an even playing field. If you're good, you're good and you will make it. If you're
That
not,
makes sense.
then you're not supposed to make it. So make the license what it's supposed to be. Give everybody an opportunity to get out there and play. You're not going to be able to make it just because you have $2,500. Oklahoma proved that also. You have
Yeah.
to go in, get the license, get set up, which is going to cost you about, I don't know, 10 to 100,000 just to get set up. Then you're going to have to educate yourself. You're going to have to learn the systems. You're going to have to learn the POS systems. You're going to have to pay your monthly bills. It's not as easy as it looks. But if you have it and you're strong enough to do it, you're able to complete it. But if the bar is so high that you can't even get on the field, then guess what? You don't know if you can win or not. And that's the problem that I see. Now, as far as expungement, which you were talking about, I think that that should be just a blanket slate. This administration, president just did a pardon for a previous Dallas Cowboy. I think he served 27 years, and so he
Mhm.
he did that for him. But it needs to be everybody, not select. It needs
Yeah.
to really be everyone.
I believe in that. It needs to be everybody. Everybody who's
Yeah,
Yeah.
got a
why do they
charge right
just pick
now,
and choose
everybody.
like that?
Right. And it's basically who can get the voice. It's all about lobbying and who can get the voice. And so if you can lobby and get the voice, you can. But our president, Trump, he signed off 40 tons. The owner of 40 tons, Trump is the one that gave him clemency. We write about that in Pressure also. Um, it just depends on who you're in front of and who has the loudest voice. You got to be loud,
Yeah.
disruptive,
In the face. In the face.
Like
in
the
the face.
weeds, gotta be loud.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not that you have to be rude, but you have to be loud. You gotta stand up for what you want.
Definitely.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you said that you have a, a different perspective on social equity, but I do agree with making everything fair and accessible. Because I don't think that's how it is in Ohio. I don't know how much it costs for like a license or to apply offhand, but I know it's like thousands and thousands and thousands of
Well,
dollars.
Mhm.
speaking of legal stuff, so let me ask you this. Ohio is navigating SB 56 and its voter registration. From your perspective, what should emerging markets do early to protect the culture and community?
Educate the community. Invite people in all aspects. I'm probably one of the few people that do an event that celebrates um, spirituality on all levels. On Sundays, you can come into my dispensary and you're going to hear gospel music. You're going to hear you some Kirk Franklin. You're going to hear you some Ty. Um, because everyone uses cannabis from all walks of life. And so you don't have to leave that at the door. And I want
Mhm.
people to feel comfortable with that. And it's going to take that type of thing where it's not necessarily so unique for us to understand that. So that's what I would say. Emerging markets, markets that are coming out, you have to make the community comfortable. What does it look like? Because all they see is what's on TV. All they see is what's on the news. All they hear about is the bad stories. And so when you have someone that's doing a meditation session, invite the community. When you have someone, and when I say the community, that what's around that area, and start
Mhm.
educating those people
Are you muted?
early, you know, and it needs to be um, something that's very signature for your community. And that's how it happened for me. And when I travel around the country, the goal is for people to be able to recognize me. And it took a little time, but I set it. I set the goal. I set what I want the image to be. And that's why you hardly see me smoke out in public. You'll see me smoke maybe at a party or something like that when I'm relaxing, but I normally don't take it to the boardroom because
Yeah.
I wouldn't take french fries to the boardroom, you know? So why would I take cannabis to the boardroom? And I don't knock people that do it, but I really think if you're negotiating a business deal, negotiate the business deal, you know?
Mhm.
All
Definitely.
right. Perfect. All
Well,
right.
all right.
Yeah.
To wrap it up, I think we just have one last question. Is that okay, Will? Do you want me
Yeah.
to ask the
Yeah.
closing question?
Yeah. Because it's the most important question, really, in my opinion.
Okay, very
Go
good.
ahead and ask it.
Okay, so 10 years from now, what do you hope people say Thunderwalker built?
Oh, I love it. I'm gonna share this with many, but let's share it today. I'm working on building a community, housing development that allows for wellness to be 420 friendly. So I'm going back to my roots. And it's a lot of stuff to work out because unfortunately the banks still have issues with
Mhm.
this idea. But there's a lot of programs right now where you have wellness communities, you have uh, farm to table. And so I want farm to table even with cannabis. So a community that has a garden with cannabis that allows you to cultivate and it's 420 friendly. It's not just for the tomatoes anymore. And so 10 years from now, there's going to be a city, there's going to be an area, a community that will accept a 420 development. Right now it's so difficult to find some place to smoke. It's insane. If you don't own your own house, you have a hard time. If you stay in an apartment or a condo, you have a hard time. Everybody's complaining about the smell, blah, blah, blah. But if we can have a space that has parks and trees and a coffee shop and this, that, and the other, and we allow cannabis to be used there responsibly, I think that's cool.
Oh my goodness. I love that so much because it kind of reminds me of something that I want to put together here in Ohio. But I would love to live in your city. If you're making a city, I'll just move there. Sounds like a lovely place.
Well, I spoke it out now. I spoke it into existence. So it's going to happen. I really feel that way. I really feel like when it's time for it to leave my lips, it will leave. And it did. So, yeah.
I love
Um,
that.
there's places all around the country that does wellness communities. Why not have one that's 420 friendly?
Definitely.
If I could find somewhere to smoke and hang out with other
Literally.
people who smoke, that'd probably be the best thing ever. Because that'll help me on my
Exactly,
gaming community and
right.
everything. I can make a whole gaming community off of that. We can all go hang out and game together.
It
That'd
needs to
be,
just be natural. I mean, it
What
yeah.
needs to just be a natural thing.
Okay,
I
what
feel
I
like that
think
would
would be
help.
really cool is if we could have like recreational centers, kind of, but like
Yes.
wellness centers that are 420 friendly, and you can take a class about cannabis or you can do a meditation with a group of people and, be able to legally and safely smoke or consume however you want. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like all over.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
I mean,
think
it's
that'd be
coming.
I
It's
wish it
going
was
to
beautiful.
come.
clubs. I was gonna say like small clubs like where you can do like recreational sports too. Like I see all kind of ways of that. You know what I'm saying? It's just
Mhm,
it should be opened up to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? At least
mhm.
Yes,
approach it from a wellness perspective because that is what the plant does. It helps take care of us. You know what I'm saying? So like approach it from that
exactly.
perspective. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's what I wanna be remembered by. But in the end, the other thing that I wanna be remembered by is, the autism community, people with disabilities. I speak at the Abilities Expo that travels across the country. They're in at least 10, I think, cities. And so, whatever impact that I can help as far as them being educated and having the best life that they could possibly have, I want to make my mark there too, because that is a huge opportunity for those that want to spend time to help those people.
That's beautiful and that's very important for sure. I feel like not a lot of people know about how cannabis can help with autism spectrum disorder, but you know, the endocannabinoid system has a lot to do with like our nervous system and our brain and things like that. So a lot of people are imbalanced and a lot of, and don't even realize it. And that's why
Yeah.
cannabis is so important. So
Mm.
Thunder,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for pulling up and sharing your story, sharing your work with us and with our community today. We really appreciate it.
I enjoyed it. And like I said, I would love to host you guys at Oklahoma. I think you would really have a great time. And
I,
it just gives you an opportunity to see another side.
I would love to come and
Yeah.
see what Oklahoma's like, the market and
Sign
stuff.
me up. I am
Yeah.
there. Let's go. Let's
Very
go.
interesting. Road trip. Maybe we'll fly. Maybe we'll fly this time. Maybe not. Never mind.
I know we
Road
had
trips.
the
I thought
road
the
trip
road
was
trip was fun, but
it was fun.
I
It was a lot
understand
of
if you guys
fun.
don't want to do it.
Yeah, and next time y'all have to come to the parties that I throw at MJ. We'll the sleepover, y'all have to come.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we're
It'll
down.
be our
We're most
third
definitely
Would
down.
year.
love to. Would love to. Well, okay. Well, this has been OH-HighYo podcast. Conversation builds community. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
again. This is the Ebony Hempress, and we got Will. And thank you again, Thunder, for being on our show. All right, you guys. See you
Abs-
next time.
See y'all.
absolutely.
We out.
Can you